Welcome back to Margaritas in Paradise. Hey, today we're going to talk about whether you should consider driving a motorbike or not in Thailand. Originally when I came here I thought, you know what, I'm done paying insurance, registration and things like that I would normally have to pay in the United States. And the more I got around and everything, between taking bot buses and maybe motorbike taxis and that sort of thing, I realized how much more convenient it would be for me to have a motorbike. Although all my friends said, nah, it's just too dangerous. Stay away from it, Tom. And in my head, that's exactly what I thought. I'll tell you what, when I finally took that leap, I was here probably 3 years, and I decided I'm gonna go rent a motorbike and give it a try. And I'll tell you what, I was so scared. I walked it back to my condo where I was staying and parked it in the parking garage down below. It took me another week to even get on that motorbike. And then once I finally got on it, I spent at least 1 week, it may have been 2 weeks, driving around in circles in the underground parking garage until I actually became comfortable on, I think it was like a 125cc motorbike. And it took me a long time to be comfortable. But I'll tell you another thing that really scared me. I was used to driving on the right-hand side of the road. And in Thailand, they drive on the left-hand side of the road. I eventually took to the road. I talked about today driving with your head on a swivel, being extremely cautious. Back then, you should have seen me. I was probably like one of these old men that you would see now. I am an old man. But anyway, one of these super cautious guys that were staying all the way to the left and just letting people go by. Anyway, and back then I was really like that. So it took a long time to build confidence. And you know where confidence comes from, right? Yeah, it's just like anywhere else in the world. Confidence comes from experience. And it's going to take a while for you to get experience. For me, I wasn't raised on motorbikes or motorcycles in general in the U.S. I had very limited experience compared to a lot of my friends. I learned to, I don't know, I want to say I learned to love my motorbike experience here in Thailand. In all honesty, I know that motorbikes or motorcycle riding for me for long distances are not for me. It's just too uncomfortable. By the end of the day, if I've been riding all day, I'm gonna have a sore back and so on. So you'd really need to be in shape for things like that. But for just getting around town and even going, let's say 100 kilometers and back, that's okay, I can do that. So, should you rent a motorbike? Well, there are things to consider for sure, and we're gonna go over those right now. In 2019, the New York Times reported that Thailand had the highest per capita rate of motorcycle deaths of any country in the world. That's crazy. That's crazy. And we'll go something with a little bit newer. But in 2022, the World Health Organization, WHO, reported that Thailand has the highest rate of road traffic deaths, which the majority involved motorcycles. The chances of an accident happening in Thailand are pretty high here. And I can't tell you the exact reason why, but we're going to go over some of those things. I think a lot of it has to do with common sense. Thailand has traffic laws, and I've reported in other videos as well that many times those laws almost act as a guideline. But I'll tell you, in the last 2 years, Thailand has really stepped up the initiative. They've changed a lot of their rules concerning road safety in general, which included raising fines, for instance, for people not wearing motorbike helmets. Now, you know that in Thailand, it's the law to wear a motorbike helmet. Okay, I don't know why people don't do it. For whatever reason, I've heard everything. They don't want to mess up their hair. Somebody recently told me, you know, it's fate. If they're in a motorcycle accident and they die because they don't have a helmet on, then that's the way it was supposed to be. Well, you know, so if you did wear that motorcycle helmet and you didn't die, is that the way it's supposed to be? So, I don't know. But, you know, Thailand does have these rules. And a lot of these rules are common sense, I think. You have to think about when you're driving down the road and you encounter a larger vehicle, a car, a truck, a big semi-truck or a tractor or something like that going down the road. Can they see you on the motorbike? A motorbike's zipping in and out of traffic and everything else. They're going so fast that they can't keep up with you. There's other safety concerns in play. What are you wearing on your feet? Are you wearing flip-flops? I think that the normal safety conscious type person that's going to be on a long trip and that is going to protect their whole body. But when you're driving around Pattaya, for instance, where it's super hot out and everything else, and you're probably not going at high speeds, the common choice for footwear is going to be flip-flops, right? Sure. And but the thing is you really have to protect your head. I have a good friend of mine that went home recently, and she fell off of her motorbike and had a problem. And you know, it happens every day. And you talk to girls all the time, and they have these scars all over their bodies that prove road rash, and specifically involving motorbikes in Thailand. You should take some of these things into consideration. Do you have any motorbike experience, and how much do you have? Things to also consider is that you look at the traffic behind me right now. This is just the middle of the afternoon. It's not very busy, but the later it gets, the busier it gets. The more horrific the driving conditions become. A lot of times, people driving motorbikes have they just don't obey the law, okay? You saw a guy just turn on this road here. It's a one-way street, so he's going against the flow of traffic. It happens every day. And you just have to expect the unexpected. Don't go out there with no fear. You need to have fear all the time. You have to be ready to adapt to your environment. Things that drive me crazy, especially when I'm driving at night. At the last minute, somebody goes whizzing by me and they're driving with no headlights. And you look in your mirror and they have no taillights either. They're just driving blindly in the dark. And driving in Thailand at nighttime is very dangerous. Things happen in the road. If there was road construction, you don't know if the road construction was marked where you can visibly see it at night. You can end up driving and all of a sudden end up in this hole. So you have to be extremely careful. You have to be taking care of yourself, because if you're not taking care of yourself, nobody else will. Here are some other considerations for you. Motorbike drivers ignore things as easy as speed limits, let's say. This road behind me is Pattaya Beach Road, for instance. The posted speed limit is 40 kilometers an hour. And I would say that probably 50% of the people actually drive that posted speed limit. But the other 50% drive way beyond that. You know, they may even double it. You have to drive, again, with your head on a swivel. Things that you can do to give you a better chance of being on the road safely. There's lots of things that you can do to have a better experience while on a motorbike. One of the things, obviously, is to always wear a helmet. But make sure you're just not wearing a plastic bucket on your head. Something like a bicycle helmet, for instance, you know, may be allowed in Thailand, but it's not going to last. I mean, once your head hits the pavement, it's going to last about 2 seconds before it shreds apart, and your skull is going to open up. Take care of yourself. You know, I know we're talking about two different things. Helmet safety in the U.S., for instance, requires a DOT sticker for a helmet that you can take and pound on the ground, and you know that nothing's going to happen to that helmet. That's the type of helmet I want. What kind of helmet do you want? Are you that concerned? I think you should be. Another thing, try to get as much motorbike experience as you possibly can. Take advantage of open parking lots and that to give you additional skill and road time of practicing. Okay, make sure before you come here, you get an international driver's license. Do you know that the international driver's license are good for 12 months, for 1 year from the date of issue? Don't drink and drive, okay? I'm gonna go over the penalties concerning that in a few minutes. But I'm telling you what, if you're involved in a drinking and driving accident, okay, and somebody else is hurt or injured, and it's a Thai national, you're in serious trouble. In serious trouble. Avoid that scenario at all costs. When you rent a motorbike, more than likely, if you ask the person who's renting the bike to you if it's covered for insurance, and they say yes, more than likely they're talking about government insurance. Okay, government insurance is the bare minimum that the government's gonna give you if something happens that's not your fault. You need real insurance. So if you're involved in an accident and the police come, they're going to keep you there until they can figure out how you're going to pay for the accident. And why would you have to pay for the accident? Because if you weren't there, the accident wouldn't have happened. So kind of remember that. You may find at some point or another that somebody will tell you, well, they ran into me, so they have to pay. I'll tell you what, if it was a Thai national that ran into you, again, it's going to come back to, if you weren't there, this wouldn't have happened. So think about that. When you're considering riding a motorbike, maybe you should reconsider it again. So, in January of 2023, Thailand reevaluated their traffic laws and fine system dealing with driving both cars and motorbikes, all right? And there was a whole bunch of things that were included. I'm not gonna cover all of them, but some of the common things that I did make notes about was they raised the common fine of from 500 baht to 2,000 baht for common motorbike related offenses. Now, these common offenses were including driving against the flow of traffic. So if you're on the wrong side of the street driving the wrong way, okay, that's a fine. And that happens all the time. If you're on a one-way street, for instance, and you're driving the wrong way, that happens all the time. And so the fine went from 500 Roy baht to 2,000 baht per incident. Here's some of the additional harsher penalties. Now I'm reading this right off my phone. Jumping a red light or not stopping on a zebra crossing now both carry a maximum fine of 4,000 baht, or up to, which is up from 1,000 baht. Now this would help if a pedestrian gets knocked 20 feet in the air while trying to cross a truck in a pedestrian crosswalk, or a truck smashes into the back of your motorbike because you're stopping. He decided not to stop. Driving against traffic and not wearing a crash helmet on a bike or a safety belt in a car all now carry a maximum 2,000 baht fine, up from 500 baht. Drunk driving or breaking the law is increased substantially. If you're convicted of drunk driving, you will now face a fine up to 20,000 baht and a prison term of a maximum of 1 year. However, if you repeat the offense within 2 years of the first one, you will face a fine up to 100,000 baht and a mandatory jail term up to 2 years. Whatever your thoughts on these increases, it's hard to argue the fact that drinking and driving has been a curse on Thailand. This article goes on to talk about there's new restrictions on road racing and things like that. I'll put a link to this actual article in the description below. And while I'm talking about that, make sure that you're giving me a big thumbs up that you're hitting that subscribe button. Hit that little bell next to it for future notifications and new videos coming out. All right, so the last thing I want you to think about, and of course I'm kind of repeating myself a little bit here, but if you're involved in a motorbike accident, make sure that you are wearing your helmet, okay? Make sure that you have good insurance. So these are things that you need to think about when you're deciding whether riding a motorbike or not is the right thing for you. I would strongly encourage you not to ride the motorbike. Take a Bolt bus, take a motorbike taxi for getting around locally. Have a good time while you're in Thailand. Enjoy yourself, all right? I understand the sense of mobility and getting around, I really do. But on the other hand, you need to take into account your time, your experience on the road with a motorbike. And you don't want to ruin your vacation or just arriving in Thailand because of something that was so avoidable. All right, well that's it for Margaritas in Paradise, and I hope you're having a great day. And yeah, this weather's fantastic out here. I'm so fortunate to live where I do. I'm enjoying life, and I hope you do too. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.